What if I show you how you can turn almost any Android smartphone into a professional-grade camera using just one app and one simple accessory? Curious already? Let's inspect! Hey, so good to meet you! I'm Michael, and this actually is a video I've been planning for a very long time, and finally, here we are. Today I'm going to show you how you can turn almost any Android phone into a device capable of outputting professional camera-grade footage. Could be, I don't know, a cheap one, could be an expensive smartphone. All that you really need is one smartphone app and one basic accessory. I'm going to structure this video into 4 main sections. First, why this even matters and what pushed me into going down this road. Then I'm going to talk you through what I've personally tried over the last 4 years as possible solutions, and after that, I'm going to show you how you can become brand independent. And finally, we're going to wrap everything up with real samples and a lot of best practices. This journey started a few years ago. Unlike many fellow YouTubers, I've always tried to keep my gear setup as minimal as possible. I don't really like big cameras. Over time, the Sony A7C and the Sony ZV-1 were among my favorites, but eventually I switched to the Sony ZV-E1 and increasingly to my smartphone. That's where the problems began. Like many videographers, I usually record in log or similar formats, 24 or 30 frames per second, and I try to follow the 180-degree shutter rule. It simply makes videos look more natural and also leaves more room for color grading in post. There are plenty of challenges that these little tricks solve: flickering of lights, strange rendering of shapes like tiles when walking, or choppy wide-angle footage. You've definitely seen this in many videos online. Very often, this comes down to either lack of understanding of how a camera optics works, or simply a lack of willingness to go the extra mile for decent production. The reality is that even if you own a $10,000 camera, with the wrong kind of settings, you're going to get average results. Well, let's keep the next part short, because unlike iPhones, most Android devices don't support ProRes, or at least do not have a good implementation that allows you to record unmodified video directly from the image sensor. Every smartphone manufacturer applies its own interpretation of color grading, image stabilization, edge sharpening, supported resolutions, and so on. And because of that, you can almost always tell whether a video is recorded with a phone's default camera app or a proper camera setup. To overcome this limitation, I've tried several different solutions with very mixed success. The easiest approach is to use a smartphone that natively supports log recording in its default camera app. The benefits are obvious. All the necessary libraries are optimized by the manufacturer, you get vendor-supported LUTs, and overall stability is close to perfect. In my experience, Samsung is quite far ahead of most Android brands here, which is why the Galaxy S4 Plus remained my primary phone for about a year and a half. The limitation is that the log mode integration and configuration is extremely basic over here. No real control over bitrate, color space, or similar parameters. Still, even with the default settings, I was fairly happy with the results. Xiaomi's HyperOS camera app comes second in my opinion, with similar strengths and limitations. My main issue is that I'm a big fan of stock Android. I really wanted a Pixel or a Nothing phone badly, but on Pixels there is essentially zero manual video controls in the native camera app, which is incredibly frustrating. I've tried 2 paid apps, Filmic Pro and ProTake. Never really liked Filmic Pro's approach, and while ProTake initially felt a little bit better, it failed to improve meaningfully over time. And I've also tried MC Pro 24 FPS for a while, and it clearly has the potential to be the best, but the interface ultimately pushed me away. It simply needs to get better. The popular camera company Blackmagic also has its own video app, but on Android it's still far more limited than on the iPhone version, and it may take a long time before it truly matures. And the reality is that most of these apps either don't get proper access to the camera's optical image stabilization, or they simply don't implement it correctly. After a lot of digging, I came across MotionCam Pro. To be more precise, good feedback about MotionCam Pro. Started with the free version, which lets you record 5-second clips at a time. The results were immediately promising. That's when I decided to pay the $26 by that time for the full version. And honestly, this might be the best software investment I've ever made throughout 2025. Let me show you how this app actually works. At first glance, MotionCam Pro looks like a slightly more advanced video camera app. But once you start exploring it in depth, you quickly realize it's far more powerful than it initially appears. My personal favorite feature is the recording options. There's true RAW video, in many ways even better than ProRes, and it's an absolutely incredible feature. The bitrate is huge and the color grading flexibility is almost unlimited. It basically is RAW photography, but in video form. The downside, of course, is extremely large files with a very demanding workflow afterwards. The middle ground between file size and grading flexibility is, in my opinion, the rect log video. Here, the configuration options are many, and I'm afraid there is no magic universal preset. On the Nothing Phone 3, I mostly use high-efficiency video codec with hardware acceleration at 10-bit, keep the color space at Rec 709, and leave the rest at default. I've also tested BT 2020, which looks well, but I find more demanding for my editing software once everything is converted. You can import and apply LUTs as well, but I usually don't, just prefer to keep things as simple as possible. There's also proper lens toggle with additional controls inside. This is actually the correct way to zoom while recording a video. Even if you pinch to the zoom option on the screen, that only affects the viewfinder. The final recording still captures the full sensor. As mentioned, lens switching is what actually matters, at least up until the point they bring in a digital zoom feature. In the general settings, you're going to find professional tools like audio meters, level meters, and overexposure warnings. You can lock exposure or focus during recording, which is extremely useful. And, of course, on the bright side, you get full control over ISO and shutter speed. Initially, I thought it should be possible to keep ISO on auto while manually setting the shutter speed, but it actually isn't. Thank you, Android. Although I still prefer full manual control, an auto ISO toggle can be great safety net in certain situations, so hopefully someday. Now, the last really important part of the equation is this really small tool and accessory. This is a variable ND filter with a clamp. It allows me to maintain correct exposure and proper shutter speed regardless of lighting conditions. Some smartphone brands tried to solve this with special cases and large filters, but honestly, carrying an extra bulky case versus, well, using a simple, small, tiny clamp like this, it's a very easy choice for me. So this is the setup I currently use for my smartphone, and I find it reliable. And a lot of the shots that you see in my videos are actually captured on a smartphone with MotionCam Pro. And no, this app isn't perfect. Like, digital zoom needs refinement, exposure logic could be better, and I still feel that the lock color space and transfer functions could improve. But the developers are doing a great job. There's even a solid Premiere Pro integration, which significantly reduces color grading work. So, to me, this app is like the Swiss Army knife for Android videographers. It's brand agnostic, it offers excellent access to gyro data, crashes are rare, the user interface is logical and understandable, and the RAW video capabilities are simply remarkable, including up to 12-bit RAW with dual conversion gain on certain Google Pixels. Just ask any professional videographer about how big of a deal that is. Now, in the end, this is not an attempt to convince you to buy the MotionCam Pro. This video isn't sponsored or affiliated by their team in any way. I made it to show you what MotionCam Pro is really about, how it works, and how you can use it in practice. If the dev happens to see this, well, you're more than welcome to join the discussion in the comments below and help other people. If you want to join the MotionCam community there on Discord, you can dig deeper over there. I'm going to put some details in the description. And as usual, links to all the tools and the gear are posted over there. Thank you very much for watching. If you have questions, I'm happy to help. And stay tuned for more by subscribing to the channel. I'm Michael and wish you a fantastic day. Bye.